So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our seminar today. We're really excited that you're taking time out of your day to join us for this dementia dialogue as we talk you through the 3 conversations that you absolutely have to protect your family from financial ruin. So my name is Megan, and I know Tammy and I, first things first, we just wanted to mention right off the bat that we know that these conversations are really not simple conversations to have. They're definitely not easy conversations by any means. So if you personally are dealing with a dementia diagnosis, or if you notice that a loved one is starting to exhibit some signs of dementia, it can certainly be very uncomfortable to have these conversations of what the next steps are that you should be taking. But, as Tammy and I always tell people, as difficult as it can be to have these conversations, imagine how much more difficult it could be for your family if you don't take the time to have these conversations now and really prepare your family for the next steps of your journey. So today, our goal is to really help lead you through these conversations and these discussions. And specifically, we're going to be giving you some guidance on the first steps that you should consider taking after you receive a dementia diagnosis, what kinds of conversations you should be having with your physician and things like that. We're going to take you through some different long-term care options that are available to you. And we're going to go over some different ways to help you pay for those long-term care options. We're going to cover the importance of having not just estate planning documents in place, but the real importance of having good estate planning documents in place. There's a huge difference in that, which we'll cover later on. And finally, we're going to wrap up today by covering some different community resources and support services that can be available for you throughout this journey. So as Tammy and I were preparing for this seminar today, we really designed this for those of you who are experiencing any of these fears and anxieties that you see up here. If you are unsure about what to do after you or after a loved one receives a dementia diagnosis, if you are confused about what care options are available to you in the future and you have no idea how you're going to be able to pay for that care, if you are scared or fearful that you might reach the point in the future where you're not able to make your own decisions anymore, and frankly, if you are just sick and tired of feeling alone at this stage of life, if any of these feelings resonate with you, then you're in the right place today. And let me tell you, you are certainly not alone. Tammy and I work with clients all day, every day who have those same exact fears, concerns, and anxieties. And what we hope to do is help walk you through this journey to help alleviate all of those fears and all of those concerns. So just imagine for a second, with everything that's going through your mind right now, imagine how great it would be if your GPS was able to give you turn-by-turn directions for the second half of your life. I think we can all agree life would be so much easier if we knew exactly what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, what you needed to do at that point. But even though, unfortunately, we aren't able to get that kind of clarity and certainty that we get with our GPS directions, hopefully, if you have a good GPS system, sometimes mine takes me down a wrong road once in a while, but that's a side point. But even though we're not able to give you that specific level of clarity, Tammy and I are still able to help you develop a plan for anything that might possibly happen in the future. We are able to help prepare you so that no matter what your long-term care needs might be in the future, you can minimize the burden it places on your family. We can help you try to protect your assets and preserve your assets for your spouse or for your beneficiaries. And we're also able to help give you access to some other people who might be going through the same situation that you're going through, who might be able to offer you some encouragement and support if that's something that you're looking at. But overall, our goal is to really give you the peace of mind of knowing you have done everything that you possibly can to prepare yourself and prepare your family for whatever might come down the road in the future. And so this was actually exactly what we were able to do with one of our clients, Patricia Fry. Patricia came into our office and we were able to set her up with the same kind of planning. And after we worked with her family, Patricia said, "I'm sure glad I made the call. My husband had experienced some health challenges, so we knew it was the right time to put things in order financially to be properly prepared for the future." The thing I most appreciated was that they listened to what we needed and then provided outstanding guidance throughout the entire process. It was as if they developed a roadmap that we can now follow. They made things so easy. There's no one I would want to take care of us more than these people. our office was really glad that we had the opportunity to help Patricia and her husband through this journey in their life. And really, our goal is to be able to give all of our clients the same exact peace of mind and the same reassurance that we were able to give to Patricia and her husband. But before we get into exactly how our office does that, and specifically before we dive into the 3 conversations that you should be having at this time, we're just going to pause for a minute so that Tammy and I can introduce ourselves to you in a little bit more detail. So as I said, my name is Megan. I am one of the attorneys here at Steinbacher, Goodall, and Yurchek, and I work in our firm's long-term care planning department in Williamsport and in our wealth protection planning department. I also am a certified dementia practitioner, which means that I have gone through additional training and education to learn the best ways to assist our clients who are struggling with dementia diagnosis, and the best ways to help them through that process. I have a finance degree from Penn State, and my law degree is also from Penn State, because anyone who's from the State College area knows once you become a Penn Stater, you're a Penn Stater for life, and why go anywhere else? But I graduated summa cum laude from Penn State Law, and I earned a concentration in tax during my time there. And while I was in law school, I actually spent a couple years working here at the firm as a legal assistant, which was fantastic because I was able to soak up every little ounce of knowledge that I possibly could before I was able to graduate and pass the bar myself. But whenever I'm not working, I try to spend as much time as I possibly can with this little guy right here. This is my son, Jonathan. He is 9 months old, which I absolutely cannot believe how fast the time is flying. But as you can see here, he is, I think, just the happiest baby that I have ever seen. And his smile and his laugh just makes my day each and every day. So a question that I get a lot of times is how I ended up in this profession. Because as you can imagine, elder law is not exactly a really hot and popular area for young attorneys fresh out of law school to really get excited about. But I knew that I have wanted to be an elder law attorney since I was 14 years old. And that's because of a personal experience that my family went through with my grandfather. My pap, who's pictured here, actually developed dementia later on in life. And unfortunately, he was taken advantage of because of his dementia. And it was actually gotten to the point where my family had to hire one of the attorneys here at Steinbacher, Goodall, and Yurchek to try to rectify the damage that was done through that process. And so as difficult and as frustrating, to say the least, as that whole experience was for my family, we're really thankful that at least now, 10 years later, we get to sort of see the silver lining of all of that, which is now here I am as an elder law attorney at the same exact firm that we turned to for help. And now I get to help other families who are in similar situations. But at this point in time, I'll turn it over to my co-presenter, Tammy, to introduce herself.
Okay, great. Thanks, Megan. And my name is Tammy Zilske. I am a long-term care planner at the law firm. I'm certified as a Medicaid planner. So I help the clients of the law firm through the Medicaid application planning process and keep up to date on all the changes and the Medicaid rules and regulations. I'm also certified as a dementia practitioner. And although we do not sell insurance products here, I do have an insurance license, just really for knowledge base for the law firm. And I've been with the firm for a little over 15 years now, and am very happy to work here. I've learned so much from working with the attorneys and paralegals at this law firm. So it's been a great, great experience. But prior to that, I was a hospice social worker and a home and community-based care manager. So what that really afforded me was a great knowledge base of community services, how the social service systems work, and really the ability to be able to bring that to the law firm so that we could help the attorneys and our clients navigate those systems. So like Megan, I kind of started my career at 14 as a candy striper at the Williamsport Hospital. And it was at that experience that I was really exposed to some older adults who really needed some help. And the candy striper role was to take newspapers around and sell candy. And this was back in the time when hospitals would keep people for an extended period of time. So I got to develop some relationships with older adults there, and just really thought that this would be a career path that I would like to get into. So that brought me into my social work career. And like Megan as well, I had a family member who had Alzheimer's, and this was my grandmother in the late stages of Alzheimer's disease. And the topic that we're going to talk about today in preparing for this disease, unfortunately, our family did not have a law firm that was there to help us navigate all the different discussions that we really needed to have. And I think back over that experience, and my Gram's been gone about 14 years now. And there were so many challenges that we faced that could have really been a lot easier if we would have had the discussions that we're going to have here today. So we're encouraged that you guys are here, and we hope that this information is helpful so that you can avoid those bumps in the road. And Nancy Campbell was a client that came to us, and just to tell you a little bit about, again, some of the work that we do here. She said, after my husband went into the nursing home, I went to another law firm in the area to see what could be done about paying for his care. They said there was nothing they could do for me, and that I'd have to spend down my money for him to then be eligible to receive Medicaid. I was very concerned and felt that they just left me on my own. I later was told to call this firm. I figured, why not? Because at that point, I had nothing to lose. After explaining my situation, I was told to come in right away because I required immediate attention. What they did for me was unreal, especially after being told I was in a hopeless situation by that other firm. They took action to protect our assets and get my husband's nursing home bills taken care of into the future. Everyone was so wonderful. I'd taken my daughter with me, and we were told that the bills were going to be paid. She cried because she knew what the other lawyer had previously said. I can't say enough about this kind of attention to detail. So like Nancy, we hope that that's every client's experience when they come to our firm, and that's really our goal in working with people here. So the first conversation that is a must-have is you have to receive an accurate diagnosis from a medical professional, such as a neurologist. So when you begin to exhibit signs of dementia, you shouldn't just assume that it's Alzheimer's, it's irreversible. It's really, really important to not only go to your family medical physician, but also to see a neurologist who can do an extensive workup to give you the correct diagnosis. Because without that, you're not going to receive the treatment that you need so that you can move forward. And sometimes, people are surprised that, it's just a simple medical situation that can be treated with medication, and it's not irreversible. But sometimes it is irreversible, and it is important for you to know what that diagnosis is so that you can move forward. So what we would recommend is that you meet with a specialist, specifically a neurologist, and that's something you could have your primary care physician refer you to. And what they're going to do is a workup. They're going to do a very comprehensive diagnosis workup, maybe a CAT scan, blood work. They're going to ask a lot of questions. And that's really going to allow them to determine what you're dealing with so that they can offer you the medication, if there is medication to treat it, or give you really a roadmap to what you are to expect. And then that really ties into what we're going to be able to do to help you with the next step. And the one thing that we do want to recommend is that it's really okay to ask for help. We're all very independent people, and we like to think that we can handle things on our own. But when you're dealing with a dementia diagnosis, you really want to make sure that you're reaching out to get all the help that you can get so that it is successful for everybody, and you're really mitigating any of the problems that can come along the way. So the second conversation to have is really know what your options for care are. This kind of goes back to understanding the diagnosis, because if you have a dementia diagnosis that is going to be progressive and you're going to need more care throughout time, it's important to know that. And so when we're looking at the different types of care, that's going to change over time depending on what your needs are. So when I think back to my grandmother at the beginning stages of her Alzheimer's, in-home care was all she needed. Just a little bit of help here and there so that my grandfather could go to the grocery store and take care of things. But as her Alzheimer's developed and she began to wander and get lost and have behavioral problems, in-home care was no longer a safe option for her or for my grandfather. And so facility care became necessary. And there are different types of facilities. There are personal care homes, there are assisted living facilities, and then there are skilled nursing homes. So when we meet with a client, we're going to ask specifically where they're at in their staging process so that we can give them the right guidance on the right type of care. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at, well, how do you pay for that care? You know, it can go anywhere from private pay to long-term care insurance, limited Medicare benefits, and Medicaid benefits. There's also an opportunity for veterans benefits to help pay for that care. And all of these options that we're going to talk about are very complex and very detailed. They're going to be dependent on your income, dependent on your assets. So that's something that we would help you explore here. Really, again, it's going to be customized and based on what you need.
Tammy, is there facility care which takes only Alzheimer's patients?
Yes, so going back to facility care, there are some personal care homes known as assisted living that are dementia focused. And so, you know, I know that we have people in our audience really from all over, but there are a number of facilities in Center County as well as like Cumming County, Union County that do focus and specialize in Alzheimer's or dementia care. And really what that does is their staff is better trained in that area. They also are going to offer a secure unit so that if somebody is a wanderer, like my grandmother was, they're going to be able to keep them securely in there. So when we're looking at that and talking about the payer source, you know, a lot of those facilities are private pay only and do not accept Medicaid benefits. So we would have to be looking at a skilled nursing home if you were looking at Medicaid benefits to pay that. But there are a number of skilled nursing homes that have dementia units as well. Okay. So then the next question is, well, what can the nursing home take if somebody does need that level of care? And really, they can take almost all of your assets, including your spouse's assets. There are spousal protection laws out there, but you have to know how to appropriately use them. And that's something that Megan and I would walk you through and make sure that you are maximizing the amount of assets that you can protect so that you do not lose them to a nursing home. Now, if you're not married, and again, if you haven't done pre-planning where you've met with us 5 years before the crisis, there are still opportunities to protect assets, but it's very important that we start that right away because the sooner we talk with you, the quicker we can do that. So just to give you an idea, if we were meeting with a family and their loved one was widowed and they had not done any planning in place, but they had the correct powers of attorneys, which Megan will walk through, we could still help them protect about half of their assets from the cost of their nursing home care. So, you know, we want to make sure that you realize that even if you haven't done planning in advance, there may still be opportunities to protect some money. And as far as your house goes, Medicaid cannot make you sell your house, but they would put a lien against your property if it were in your name alone when you pass away. So there does need to be some planning in place to protect your property. And again, there are ways that we can do that to help you. So how do you protect assets? Again, this is going to be individual recommendations based on your family, your assets, your income, where you're living. So it's something that we would put together a roadmap that outlines exactly how we would help you. It might include irrevocable trusts. It might include Medicaid compliant annuities. It may include outright gifting. There's just a number of tools that we would use really based on your situation. But as far as the process goes, we would evaluate your specific concerns, needs, goals, your family structure, and then we would make recommendations on how best to help you. Now, there is a 5-year gifting look back period, and that is something that we're going to talk to you about. But again, it doesn't mean that we can't do anything if you have come to us in the crisis situation. So in most situations, we can protect a spouse 100% despite the 5-year look back rules. And then in most cases, if you're a widow or single, we can help protect about half of what you have. Now, in addition to that, Medicaid rules do allow you to give away up to $500 per calendar month without the 5-year Medicaid rules coming into place. So $500 a month doesn't really equal a whole lot in the end. So we're probably going to be looking at doing more gifting than that. But that is one thing to just keep in mind, that if you've made gifts of $500 or less in a calendar month in the last 5 years, there's no problem with that. But if they exceed $500, then you would really want to talk to us about how to best protect that gifted money. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Megan for conversation number 3.
Great, thank you, Tammy. Yeah, so the third and final conversation that you really should be having at this stage is to determine whether your legal documents agree with your current life situation and your wishes of what you would like to happen after you pass away. So the legal documents that should probably be included in your estate plan. The main kinds of legal documents are powers of attorney, a last will and testament, and trust. But like Tammy said, whether a trust would be a good fit for you, that's really an individualized determination, because there are a lot of different kinds of trusts out there that work a little bit differently. Whether a trust would be a good fit for you is something that we really determine on an individualized basis. And if you think that a trust might be a good fit for you, then we would encourage you to schedule an appointment with our office to determine whether that would be a good fit for your estate plan and what kind of trust would be best for you. But for the sake of the rest of the seminar, I will just focus on the documents that absolutely everybody should have who's over the age of 18, which are powers of attorney and a last will and testament. So a power of attorney is, without question, the most important estate planning document that you can have. And the power of attorney is just a written document where you are allowing someone else to make decisions for you or take action on your behalf. And that person who's acting for you is called your agent. And so the reason why the power of attorney is the most important estate planning document you can have is because if you don't have this document in place, appointing your spouse, your children, your loved one, the power to act for you, those people might not automatically be able to do those things for you. Specifically, whenever it comes to your assets and your finances, Pennsylvania assumes that you would not want your spouse to take action for you regarding your assets and your finances if you have not executed a power of attorney ahead of time, giving them that power. So, or additionally, if you have a power of attorney in place, which I'm sure many of you on this call probably already have a power of attorney in place that covers your assets. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the seminar, there is a really big difference between having a power of attorney and having a good power of attorney in place. And so even if you already have a power of attorney in place, if that document does not give your spouse, your children, your loved one, the power to do everything that they might need to do for you, then the alternative is to get a guardianship. And a guardianship is the process where we'd have to go to court and your loved ones would have to prove that you are no longer able to manage your own affairs. And as you can guess, with anything that has to go through the court system, the guardianship is a very, very time-consuming, very costly, and very intrusive process. And it's through that process that then a judge would be the one responsible for picking the person who will be managing your affairs for you and making those decisions. So as you can guess, it's really in everyone's best interest for you to get good powers of attorney in place ahead of time while you're able to execute these documents. So at our office, we actually break apart our powers of attorney into 4 different documents because they're really used in 4 very different situations, as Tammy already briefly touched on. And we like to keep them all separate to try to avoid confusion of what you want to happen in different situations. So here we have a financial power of attorney, a healthcare power of attorney, a mental health power of attorney, and a living will. So the first one, your financial power of attorney. This is the document that gives your agent the power to manage your assets and your finances for you. And this document really covers any of your assets and finances that you might have. It includes your bank accounts, retirement accounts, life insurance policies. It includes the power to sell real estate if need be. And really, whenever I mention the difference between a financial power of attorney and a good financial power of attorney, this is the document where the difference between those two is really, really magnified. And that's because of a law that was enacted between 2014 and 2015. With this new law, Pennsylvania really changed the rules and the requirements of what needs to be included in a financial power of attorney. Specifically with this law, in order for your agent to be able to do something for you and do something specific with your assets and your finances, that power needs to be specifically and clearly spelled out in your financial power of attorney, saying that, yes, my agent is allowed to do this thing. And because everything needs to be really, really spelled out very clearly, our financial powers of attorney are usually about 20 pages long because we try to include everything in there that we can possibly think of, so that your agent does not run into any roadblocks or bumps in the road whenever they need to act for you at that point in the future. And whenever we are looking at a financial power of attorney, there are a handful of things that Tammy and I always want to make sure are in that financial power of attorney. And oftentimes, whenever we are meeting with clients for the first time who had powers of attorney prepared previously, and whenever we take a look at those documents to see if they need updated, these handful of things, this is most often what might not be included in your current power of attorney. So those powers that you definitely want to have in your financial power of attorney are the rights to make unlimited gifts and the rights to create irrevocable trust. And the reason why those 2 powers are so crucial is because it allows your agent to do some asset protection for you if you weren't able to protect all of your assets yourself. So as Tammy already touched on, if you're able to do the asset protection and prepare in advance for your long-term care costs, that's really the best scenario. That's whenever we are able to protect the most assets in the best way. But if you find yourself in the midst of a crisis and you weren't able to protect any of your assets or all of your assets ahead of time, if your financial power of attorney allows your agent to create irrevocable trust and make unlimited gifts, then your agent is able to help protect some of your assets for you at that time. They would be able to set up these trusts for you, gift your assets out of your name into the name of the trust to help accomplish those objectives for you. We also want to make sure that your financial power of attorney has the right to create special needs trusts. And this is really important if any of your beneficiaries have a disability or if they might become disabled at some point in the future. If that happens, then allowing your agent in your financial power of attorney to set up a trust for that beneficiary allows your beneficiary to receive an inheritance from you in the best way possible for them, keeping in mind any kind of government benefits that they might be getting. Finally, we also want to make sure that your financial power of attorney includes everything that your agent might need to do with managing any digital assets that you have, like your online bank accounts and things like that. So after your financial power of attorney, I know Tammy already gave a brief overview of these documents. The next one is the healthcare power of attorney. And like Tammy mentioned, the healthcare power of attorney is a document where you allow someone to make healthcare and medical decisions for you when you are not able to communicate your own decisions to the doctor. And so really the healthcare power of attorney is where you are allowing someone else to authorize, withhold, and withdraw any medical treatment for you, like consenting to surgeries, for example. This allows someone to admit you into a hospital or a nursing home or discharge you from those facilities if that's in your best interest. And we always want to make sure that your healthcare power of attorney includes a HIPAA waiver. So your agents or whoever you are appointing to make these decisions have the ability to talk to your doctor and get information about your current health situation so that they're able to make the best decisions possible. So as Tammy mentioned, the healthcare power of attorney is really what we're going to be using if the doctors are saying that you need some kind of medical treatment. And there's a hope that if you get that treatment, then you will get better and you'll recover. So I know the example that I always use is if you were to be in a car accident and you're unconscious, so you can't talk to the doctor yourself. The doctors are saying that you need to have some kind of a surgery. And if they give you the surgery, then you are expected to get better and to recover. The healthcare power of attorney is what allows your agent to give the consent to that surgery. On the other hand, the next document we have here is the living will. And the living will is often what is referred to as the end of life document. And this is the document that we pull out whenever the doctors are saying, unfortunately, we've tried everything and there's really nothing left for us to do that can give a realistic hope of a recovery. So the living will is what would be pulled out if for example, if you were to be in a permanent coma or a permanent vegetative state. And this is the document where you lay out your wishes regarding life support and what kind of treatment you would like at that point in time. So for example, some of the things that we include in your living will for that point in time is whether you would like pain relieving medications to help keep you comfortable. And if you do want pain relieving medications, then we also want to make sure that your living will has the power to include artificial hydration to help administer those pain relieving drugs in the most comfortable way for you. That document also includes provisions like whether you would like CPR, a ventilator, things like that, other kinds of artificial life prolonging measures, a feeding tube, for example, or whether you would like to say, you know what, just keep me comfortable and let me pass away naturally in that circumstance. Those are all the things that we would cover in a living will. And the last power of attorney that we have at our office is a mental health power of attorney. This is actually a newer document in Pennsylvania. This mental health power of attorney allows your agent to give consent to any kind of mental health treatment that you might need. If you would need any kind of inpatient mental health treatment, and it also gives them the power to consent to really specific mental health related treatment, like experimental drug trials and studies. This is a document that we always recommend for our clients who have a dementia diagnosis or an Alzheimer's diagnosis, because as you can imagine, it's far more likely that in the future that people will be needing some kind of mental health treatment. And it's important that we cover everything in this mental health power of attorney so that your agents are able to take care of all of that health treatment for you. Now, under Pennsylvania law, this mental health power of attorney has to expire every 2 years. That's not the case with the other estate planning documents that we're covering. Those other powers of attorney, other estate planning documents, they don't have expiration dates. It's just this mental health power of attorney that would have to be re-executed every 2 years. Now, if at some point during that 2-year window, if you develop dementia, or if you lose the mental capacity that you need in order to sign a new legal document and re-sign this one to make it effective for another 2 years, then the last mental health power of attorney you signed does not expire and it continues to be effective. So that isn't a concern that we would have in that kind of a situation. So as you can see, the powers of attorney are the most crucial estate planning documents that you can have in place. And of course, the next logical question that you're thinking of as you're getting prepared to put these documents in place is considering who you should be appointing as your agent. Who should you be putting in these documents to be able to make decisions for you and help you through this process? Do you want to appoint your spouse? Do you have a child or children who you want to be involved in these documents? Maybe you have a really close friend, or maybe you think that it's best for your particular situation to appoint a professional decision maker. We often work with banks or other financial institutions for a financial power of attorney and things like that, some kind of neutral, removed third party to be helping you and taking care of these decisions for you. But ultimately, as we are thinking about the best people to appoint in these documents, there are a couple of different factors that you can think of to sort of guide you along that decision making. Is there anyone in your life who has really special knowledge or experience that would make them a really good fit for a role? Maybe you have a child who is a nurse or a doctor, and that would make them a really great person to appoint in your healthcare powers of attorney, because they are, going to be more comfortable in those kinds of situations, understanding, those kinds of conversations and making those decisions for you. Maybe you have a child who is an accountant or financial advisor, and they are a really good fit for your financial power of attorney and to be managing your finances for you. Another option is, who is really close to you geographically? Who is most likely to show up to the hospital if there's an emergency and be available to talk to your doctors? Who is most likely available to go to the bank and manage your finances for you? You should also think about the people in your life who are most familiar with your wishes and who are going to be able and willing to carry out your wishes as you want. But ultimately, above and beyond, the most important factor to consider as you're naming people for these documents is to appoint people that you trust. Because as you can imagine, you are giving these people a tremendous amount of power over you, over your assets, over your healthcare decisions. And it's important that you have the peace of mind of knowing that the people you have appointed in these documents are ready, willing, and able to step up and help you whenever that time comes. So after the powers of attorney, like I mentioned, the other really crucial estate planning document you really need is a last will and testament. And as we all know, this is the document that takes effect after you pass away. And this is the document that determines any assets that I have titled in my own name whenever I pass away, who gets that property, what happens to it after I pass away. So of course, the key things that we're going to be including in your last will and testament is the distributions of your property, who gets what. And if you have a last will and testament that says that you would like everything to go to your spouse whenever you pass away, it's really important that your last will and testament includes a bypass clause in it. And that bypass clause says that whenever I pass away, I want everything to go to my spouse. But if my spouse is in a nursing home whenever I pass away, or if they're receiving some kind of government benefits that's paying for their long-term care, then I don't want everything to go to my spouse whenever I pass away, because the nursing home or their long-term care cost is just going to eat up all of the assets that they inherited from me. So in that situation, skip my spouse and send everything directly to my children or whoever is next in line. And that is really crucial to have in place, because if we are taking the measures to plan ahead and try to protect your assets from the cost of your long-term care, we want to make sure that those efforts are not frustrated by not having a bypass clause in your last will and testament. In this document, we're also going to appoint an executor, which is the person who is in charge of your estate. They're the ones who make sure that all of your property gets to wherever it needs to go whenever you pass away. All of the estate taxes are paid and things like that. And we also want to make sure that your last will and testament gives your executor enough flexibility to distribute your assets for you. So for example, whenever you pass away, instead of giving an inheritance to your children or to your beneficiaries outright, maybe it's in your children's best interest to give them their inheritance into a trust, or to give it to some kind of a custodian to manage for them. Ultimately, we really want to give your executor the flexibility to determine what is in your beneficiary's best interest at the time whenever you pass away. So we have covered a tremendous amount of information throughout the course of this seminar, as we've covered all of the conversations that you need to have to prepare yourself and your family for the next point in your life. And as you can see, it's really crucial that you take these steps ahead of time to put a plan in place. And so the next steps of what you need to do now to put this plan in place is to schedule an appointment to meet with our office. During this appointment, we will look over any current estate planning documents that you currently have in place, and we will help you make sure that you have good estate planning documents in place, that are going to put yourself and your family in the best possible situation for whatever might happen to you in the future. And whenever you are taking the steps to get this plan in place, it's really important that you choose a law firm to help you through this process. That really is not just any law firm that you can call, that you find in the phone book, but that you're choosing an elder law firm that has experience with the specific situations that you and your family are going through. It's important that you work with someone who is familiar with assisting clients who have a dementia diagnosis in their family, or they have a loved one who's struggling with an Alzheimer's disease, because they're going to be able to know exactly what you need in those circumstances, and they're going to be able to really guide you through every step of this path. They know what's coming next, and they're going to be able to help you through that journey. And here at Steinbacher, Goodall, and Yurchek, that is our focus. We are an elder law and estate planning law firm. So this is what we do all day, every day, is help families who are in your situation and guide you through this process. And here we are actually a dementia-friendly law firm. And what that means is that we have taken steps sort of above and beyond what a traditional law firm would do to really assist our clients who have dementia diagnosis. So as Tammy and I mentioned, we are certified dementia practitioners. And in fact, most of the staff members at our office are certified dementia practitioners, which means that we have all gone through additional training and education to figure out the best ways to work with clients who have a dementia diagnosis and to assist families who are walking through that journey. And we also have at our office staff members who are devoted solely to assisting families who might be in your situation and working through the long-term care needs of a family member with dementia. And so at our office, we have dementia planners and a life care planner. And we actually have our life care coordinator joining us today on this seminar. Her name is Samantha Tompkins. And at this point, I will actually pass it over to her so she can give you a little bit more information on her role here at the firm and what she does to assist our clients.
Thanks, Megan. Hi, my name is Samantha. And like she said, I am the care coordinator here. So my main role, or my goal as a care coordinator, is to make sure you and your loved ones are being cared for properly, are satisfied with care. There should be no questions, no concerns. So that's really why I'm here. So I will work with you and your family to set goals. For example, a goal might be you want your loved one to stay home for as long as possible before having to go to a nursing home. I listen to your concerns, things that you need, things that you're worried about. We talk about your ideas, your wants. I offer support and guidance in your decision making. I'll answer questions, provide advice. And I really am just an advocate for you and your loved ones to make sure you guys are getting the best care possible. I will assist in research for any type of like community resources that you guys may need. If your loved one is already in a nursing home, I can attend care plan meetings. I can work with the nursing home to make sure that your loved one is getting everything that they need. And this doesn't have to just be about dementia or Alzheimer's. I really work with people who have any type of physical, mental, or cognitive disability. I can really try to work with you and your family to make sure you're getting all the resources and everything you need. Like Megan said in the beginning of this is all very overwhelming. Not only talking about the conversations, but actually doing things and making the decisions. That's why I'm here, to just take some of that stress off of you and just really make sure you guys are, you know, in a good place and you feel good about everything that's going on. So we offer a support group through our firm and through the Alzheimer's Association. The second Tuesday of each month. It's hosted by our coworker, Holly Ray. She is a care coordinator out of the State College office. So if you guys are interested in that, that's her email right there. You can shoot her an email anytime and she can get you set up with the Zoom in order to attend that. Now we offer a lot of resources here at the firm too, like Megan was explaining in the beginning. We have podcasts, we have our YouTube channel. then we also offer books, so we can give books out. I send out emails, articles, anything that may be of use to you and help you to really guide you in the journey and help you to better understand everything. In working with families, I help you come up with an action plan. So we go over goals. We will discuss barriers that might be preventing us from meeting those goals. We can come up with a plan, and then we can discuss possible outcomes and go from there. So, and then we also there's the Alzheimer's video mini series also on our YouTube channel that is very helpful as well. This is Center County resources. Personally, I'm out of the Lycoming County office, but we have lots of resources for both offices that we can provide to families.
All right, thank you, Sam. All right, so we're very excited to have Sam on staff here. And as she mentioned, she covers our Williamsport, greater Williamsport area. But we do have a care coordinator in our other two offices as well. So that is something that the law firm is offering throughout the services that we have here. So far we've discovered what discussions you should have once you've received a dementia diagnosis, what options you have for care and how to pay for care, what happens if you do not have good estate planning documents, and the value of reaching out to others for help and support. So I hope that you get this one thing, that planning ahead is essential to make sure that your family is taken care of and you do not spend any more than necessary on long-term care. So how do you make that happen? What we would recommend is setting up a strategy session with our office, and how that works is we would schedule a consultation, and during that meeting, we're going to review your estate planning documents, again, to make sure they're in good order. We're going to discuss a plan of recommendations, and then we're going to answer any questions that you have about your unique situation. At the end of the time together, you will know what documents you need. You will know your options for Alzheimer's and dementia care. And most importantly, you will have peace of mind knowing that you and your loved ones will be ready for the challenges of tomorrow. And then after our meeting, we will develop a written plan of recommendations that outline specifically what we do recommend for you and your family. We will work with you to implement that plan as well. We'll prepare the legal documents that we recommend. And most importantly, we're going to walk you through all of this from start to finish. And you say, well, what's the catch? The catch is that you will have peace of mind. And again, you're not going to spend more than you need to on the cost of care because you will have everything outlined and in place. So to book your strategy session, you can visit us at chatwithsgy.com or email us at info@paeldercouncil.com, or you can call the law firm at 1-800-351-8334, and we will be setting up an appointment from there. And remember that you will know what documents you need. You'll know your options for Alzheimer's and dementia care, and you will have the peace of mind knowing that you and your loved ones are better prepared for tomorrow.